G'day guys, my name is Bec Gange and I'm a professional wakeboarder. Introducing my new series called Gone Wakeabouts. This series is about a true blue Aussie Sheila traveling through America and riding with some of the top wakeboarders and also some of the up and coming riders. We'll get to see them ride on the water and also get a little insight into their lives. Welcome back guys to episode number 2 of Gone Wakeabouts. Now in the first episode I mentioned we're going to have Kira Lewis on this one. Unfortunately our schedules didn't link up, so we're going to switch it up a little bit. But stay tuned for a future episode with her. Now I really want to get a video out for you guys, so this next rider is not going to disappoint. Wait till you hear her story in the interview. She is one of the most inspiring and humble young women you'll ever meet in the industry. She stepped up into the Pro Women's last year for 2020, and she also made finals in the Moxie Pro Live in 2021. Now, for some reason, her hobby is jumping out of perfectly good working airplanes. So, without further ado, let's go take a set with Hollie Waldrop. That full life. Where's the pumpkin slices and pumpkin lattes? Is that what they are? Let's find Hollie. Hey, there she is. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Not too bad. How's this morning? Pretty beautiful, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Ready to do some shredding?
Heck yeah.
Yep. It's a beautiful spot. I've been here once, right? I've ridden.
I think so.
Yeah. I think I rode terrible that time, so let's see if I can ride a bit better than last time. Early morning sets.
Got some sailfish, tangerine blinds, wrap fives, heck yeah. Oh yeah. Alright, let's go through this interview.
Yeah. Alright guys, we just finished up here riding. We had some doubles, some GoPro, had a little Sunday fundy session. We got out there before the bludgers. Little windy, but we still had an awesome time. So we're going to sit here. I'm super excited about this interview with Hollie because she has such an amazing story. All right, this is Hollie, and we're going to find out a little bit about her. So tell us where you grew up, where you live now, your age, and kind of how you got into wakeboarding.
Okay, so I grew up in Pensacola, Florida, and then I moved down to Orlando, Florida when I was probably 12, 13, and I got into wakeboarding just from my parents, and my dad kind of played around with it when he was younger, and yeah, so that's kind of how it started. And then also we came to Orlando probably 2 or 3 times a year because most of my back doctor's appointments were all in Orlando.
Okay.
And so we would come to Orlando to wakeboard and for the back doctor stuff. And then we found out about like OWC and the gravel tour and all that. And I think my first...
That's when we almost lived together, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Not many people were doing that either, right?
Exactly.
We lived for a little bit in 2013, actually.
Something like that. Yeah, out here on the same lake.
Yeah.
And
back in my younger days.
back in my younger days.
No, that's cool. How old are you now? 18?
I'm 18.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we've known each other for a while now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
For probably 7-8 years.
Yeah, cool. So, not many people will know about this, about you, because you don't go and tell people, you're not very open about it, so I'm super excited for you to tell your story and tell all those viewers like what you've been through and like what you've had to overcome, which I find really cool, because if I was in your situation, I'd be so scared, I think, to do anything. So tell us a little bit about your back and your surgeries and how many surgeries you've gone through, and just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was born with scoliosis, so because of that, I was born with a little bit of it, and then as my body tried to grow, it went from around 40 to 60 degrees when I was 13 when my body tried to grow, and so they put in growth rods, like curvature,
right, okay. So
yeah,
curvature. Okay.
And so they put 2 growth rods in my spine, and then after about almost 2 years, I was wakeboarding one day and kind of felt something funny in my back, and I was like, that's weird. So I went and got an x-ray, and it turned out there was a screw coming out of the bone. And I was like, oh goodness. So my doctors were like, well, let's just try and take all the hardware out and see what your spine does.
And how old were you then?
I was 15 at the time.
Okay.
So yeah, they took everything out, and my spine ended up like collapsing, so it went from about 60 degrees to 90 in less than 2 weeks. And so then my surgeon in Orlando wanted to do a different surgery that I didn't want to do, that probably I wouldn't ever be able to wakeboard or touch my toes again.
Damn.
And I was like, no, like I don't want you to be doing that and stuff. And so my parents kind of contacted different surgeons around the country basically, and I ended up flying up to Philadelphia, got another opinion up there, and ended up flying back like a week or 2 later. So they ended up doing a full spinal fusion from L5, which is pretty low, from L5 all the way to the top, and screws like in each vertebrae, like 2 rods.
That's crazy.
And
crazy what they can do. It's
literally.
Yeah.
So yeah, he screwed pretty much almost my whole entire spine.
That's insane.
So I can't bend my back at all, but I could touch my toes. So like just from the hips down, pretty much.
Yeah. I remember you telling me a few years ago that you can't grab Indy, right?
Yeah, I have a hard time grabbing Indy, but I could grab like stalefish.
That's awesome. Yeah, just do like
And
stalefish tantrum blind. Or tantrum blind,
exactly. That's what I try and do. I still have a hard time grabbing stuff.
Do you still experience pain, or like was it painful, or do you still experience pain now, or is it just kind of like an average sort of?
So honestly, almost about a year ago, I started doing some strength training with like weightlifting and personal training in the gym, and it's helped so much since. That's been almost a year since I started doing that now, and it's been helping like so much with like just building muscle in my back and in my legs, and
just keeping
everything strong basically.
Protected.
But before that, I was doing like kind of movement patterns, not too much weights.
Okay.
And doing movement patterns and not that much weight honestly kind of was making my back hurt. Like the more I would wakeboard, it would just kind of be really sore.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I started getting into like strength and gym weightlifting, it's helped so much. Like it doesn't even like hurt when I ride like at all. Like yeah. I mean, yeah, there is times where like in the summer I'll ride 2 or 3 sets a day and be like, oh my gosh, okay,
that's
a little
normal
too
for
much.
anyone.
my body's.
Sets a day, that's normal for anyone.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
And so I think that's a little normal.
Yeah.
But I mean,
cool.
yeah, I stretch and stuff like that.
Do you do a lot of yoga?
Yeah, I try and do yoga like as much as I can and stretch my body. And
cool. Has any doctors ever told you that like you shouldn't wakeboard or that you can't wakeboard? Like, have you had people tell you that you shouldn't do this? Like,
yeah, so my surgeon in Orlando that I've had for years, he's the one that wanted me to do like the full spinal fusion because of how bad my back was. And whenever he told me that, I told him like I won't, like if you put those screws right there, like I won't be able to wakeboard. And he was like, yeah, like you won't be able to. I was like, well, that's not what I want.
yep.
And that's when I searched for more doctors because I was like, okay, like there has to be another way. Like I'm not going with just one opinion of one doctor about this because I want to do what I love for as long as I can, as long as my body can handle it.
So do you have any advice to those people to how to overcome a fear or how to overcome a setback in your life? I mean, we have no excuses after hearing your story. So what's your advice to someone?
Yeah, so I don't see like a ton of people with like the same condition or the same like surgery as me, and so it was kind of a no, I don't know what to say, but anyway, when I was at the Moxie Pro, I saw this one girl and she came up to me and she was like, "Are you Hollie?" I was like, "Yeah," and she was like, "Okay, I heard that you've had back surgery, and my friend over here, Megan Ethel, she told me that that you had around the same surgery as me or something," and so we kind of started talking for a few minutes, and she kind of just got into wakeboarding like maybe a year or two before her surgery, and she's kind of new to it, but at the same time, me and her were talking for a few minutes, and she was like, well, I'm kind of scared to hit the kicker and do a flip and stuff, and she saw me wakeboard after that, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you do all that stuff." Like, I'm kind of scared to do that, and I just straight up told her, I was like, don't be scared. Like, once you have that much stuff in your back, nothing's gonna, like, nothing is going to come. You're basically a robot. Seriously, you were basically a robot.
You basically have to snap steel, like,
yeah, which you can't do that, and your spine ain't going anywhere as long as you took the right amount of time to heal. Your spine's not gonna go anywhere, and it's not gonna hurt.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome
so,
that she came up to you and said that. So
yeah.
Do you ever have that fear of like trying something new? Like, does your back ever?
Honestly, no. Even I think 2 weeks ago, I tried Moby Dick for the first time, and yeah, every trick that's new, I think we all get that little bit of, okay, something new, let's try it. Little tiny bit of fear, but once you do it, like, it's just kind of, yeah, you just have to do it, honestly.
Awesome.
And don't let it get in your head until just be strong. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just be strong about it and have a good mindset and be positive.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. I actually just went pro last season, but before that I was in the junior pro women division, and I did pretty good in those. I won Moon Masters, Wake Open, Wake Games, Nationals, and Worlds. Pretty much like almost all of them. But it was definitely tough competing against those girls and then going to competing against the pro women. And last year when I went and started competing against pro women, it definitely pushed me a lot, and I've learned a lot of new tricks and learned how to be more consistent with everything. And this year with doing online events is definitely different. And I think I've probably had maybe 4 or 5 online events this year, and that definitely pushed me with being more consistent with stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
and I'm sure with you too.
At Moxie, the Moxie
yeah,
Pro
the Moxie
Live,
Pro.
Like right where the dock was, you couldn't see anything, and then you just threw this tantrum like right in front of me as I was about to take off the dock.
I probably intimidated you.
I was like, mixed emotions because I was like, yeah, Hollie. I was like, crap.
But
I was like,
don't know what to do.
Turned around and I'm like, what should I do? And then I cooked it and we made it through. So that was awesome. But yeah, you laid it down right in front of me. I was like, oh.
That was a good tension blind.
Yes, it was.
And
in rough conditions.
yeah, at that event, it was so rolly and just kind of not the best. And behind a super, I'm not so used to that.
No, that was
but
awesome.
yeah, it was a fun time.
Thanks so much for coming out and doing this episode number 2 with us for Gone Wakeabouts.
Yeah.
It was really exciting having you out there. We got to see you wakeboard. I know you said you were sore. It was amazing for you to come out and wakeboard with us. And
Thanks.
yeah, let's see you for 2022 in contest.
Of course, yeah, sounds good. You!
I always do something awkward at the end of it.
I feel that.
Here's my lift.